was talking to a minister, Christian minister. We were doing a documentary, and he was one of the advisors. So I was introduced to him. The first words out of his mouth, noticing that I was Jewish, something gave me away. Noticing that I was Jewish, the first words out of his mouth were, "So do you believe in the Savior?" Not belligerent, not just matter of fact. So I answered him in the same way. I said, really, I'm not looking for a God who's going to save me. I'm looking for a God that I can serve, not a God that will serve me. This guy is in his 60s. He started to cry.
Wow.
He says, I never thought of that. So if you were to ask Christianity, any branch of Christianity, why are we here? There's no answer. You're here and you're in trouble. He will save you and protect you from hell and get you into heaven. Yeah, but why are we here? Don't know. Even Judaism, without the Kabbalah part, makes you the victim. And that's very sad. Because it's not supposed to be that way.
Wow.
In fact, it's also very fascinating. The fairy tales, the classical fairy tales, Bruno Bettelheim?
Completely, yes.
The uses of enchantment?
Yes.
He doesn't say the father is the predator. It's the evil stepmother,
right,
or the fairy godmother.
Right.
Those are the...
Yes.
And who is the hero? The simpleton. Not the smart, not the big shots, not the simple country bumpkin.
Right.
And how does he become a hero? He serves a higher authority, the king. He saves the princess for the king.
Right.
And then the king knights him. When the king approves of him, then he has attained his goal. It's not to become the king.
Right.
Today, children are raised on superheroes. Terrible.
Yes.
Terrible. Everyone has to be the top. Nobody wants to serve the higher. So the victim mentality, that we're born into trouble and we can't help ourselves and we need to be protected and saved, and it's so depressing, it's so morbid, and so not true. The truth is what God himself says in the Torah. God created the world because it's not good to be alone. What a confession. God is saying, I can't be alone. So who's the victim? Who's needy? Except that God being needy is magnificent. It's so romantic. It's so humble.
Absolutely.
You're perfect. You're all-powerful. You're the original being. You're everything, and you're not enough. And with me, you're enough. That is so humble. We had this women's program in Minnesota in the 70s. Every intelligent Jewish kid was in India or China or Tibet practicing Buddhism. Wow. All of a sudden they start trickling back. And many of them came to our program in Minnesota. Why did they come back? Their guru told them to. And they said, you see, they're so open-minded, they're not trying to brainwash you. But one of them, who had become literally the right-hand man of the Dalai Lama.
Wow.
Because she was brilliant. The Dalai Lama told her to go back to her tradition. Why? You see, if you practice Buddhism and you train yourself to meditate, you eventually climb the ladder of enlightenment until you reach a level of bliss where everything is just wonderful. Jews did it in warp speed. Every Jewish kid got there, got the meditation down, did the whole thing. They were devoted. And they get to the highest level of bliss, and they're feeling wonderful. And they come to the Dalai Lama and say, okay, what can we do now? He said, no.
That's it?
You don't have to
That's
do anything. You're happy. And they said, yes, so let's do something.
Wow.
Get out of here. You don't belong here. You're going to mess up our whole religion. Go back to Judaism. Yeah. Because it's true. If we can reach the state of total bliss, we would become so active and so ambitious. Why? Because if I can relax me, I become so conscious of God and what He needs and what He wants that I will devote myself completely to Him. So bliss is not an end, it's a tool. We should all be blissful so that we can stop worrying about ourselves and do what we were born to do, and that is make God's plan work for Him, because we want desperately to be more than human, not the best human. So when non-Jews say, you think you're better humans, you're more, you're superior. No, you be human and be happy. We'll never be happy being you. So it's a different agenda. It's a different thing. What do you think of past lives? In Buddhism, being reincarnated is an automatic process, and you have to do something to stop it. Otherwise, you'll just keep coming back. And cycling, you'll come back as a human, you'll come back as an animal, you'll come back as a vegetable, go through it again and again and again.
Right.
You come back only because you have more to accomplish that you didn't finish in one lifetime, so you're given another chance. There are mitzvahs that only women do, there are mitzvahs that only men do. At least once, every soul has to be a woman. Somebody asked me, wouldn't you like to be a woman? I said, done that. Been there. So that way you get to do all 613 mitzvot.
Wow.
But you don't just automatically come back. There's a court in heaven, and the court assesses how much you accomplished, how much you were supposed to accomplish, whether you can accomplish it if you're given another chance. And if yes, then you come back and you finish your job.
Wow.
So even great holy souls come back because there's more they can do. So it's not a punishment. Now, ultimately, every body, every physical body that performed mitzvahs, with the soul, of course, deserves 80% of the reward. Because every mitzvah you can think of, it's the body that's doing it.
Wow.
A soul can't eat matzah on Pesach. Only the body can do that.
Right.
A soul can't light Shabbos candles. Certainly can't go to the mikveh. So it's the body that should get the bulk of the reward. And yet we're told that when you die, your soul goes to heaven and it gets rewarded. And your body? Put it away. No. You preserve the body because the soul is coming back to that body. Because that body is going to get its reward.
Wow.
So yes, it decomposes, but that's temporary. So the soul never really loses its affection to its body. And that's why if you go to Israel, for example, what is one of the most favorite and popular sites, Hebron, where our ancestors, our matriarchs and patriarchs are buried. You know how long they've been buried? And you go into where their bodies are? Come on, the bodies are gone. No, they're not.
Wow.
And if you want to get to the soul hangs around its body forever. It will never give up on its body.
Wow.
So that is called resurrection. So if I have been here 3 times, I have had 3 different lives, means I have 3 different bodies. I want them all. And they all deserve to be rewarded. When will they be rewarded? When after Mashiach comes, all the bodies will get back out of their graves, have their souls back, and then be rewarded appropriately. That's why we are so careful with the body. So what is chibut hakever? The beating of the grave? The soul grieves every time another part of the body decomposes.
Wow.
It's not the body that's suffering,
Right.
but the soul watching the body go, painful. It's been done many times when they dug up the body of a very holy person. 100 years later, no decomposition.
No.
But just like a body can decompose, it can also recompose. That's called resurrection of the dead.
Wow.
These bones will live again. So the conviction that we've always had and never questioned, life is short, right? How often have you heard, life is short, life is fragile. Before you know it, it's gone. Be careful, don't waste time. And it's not true. Life is forever, death is temporary. When the soul leaves the body, it does not change its character. So here's a very important distinction between Judaism and Christianity. Christianity says if you make it to heaven, you will be an angel. All angels are the same. You've seen one, you've seen them all. Right? You're an angel.
Right.
You'll look like every other angel. You feel like every other angel. When your soul leaves the body, it does not change its personality. So if your father was a rigid person with no sense of humor, don't make jokes about him even now. He has no sense of humor.
Wow.
If he was a jolly, funny guy, live it up. Because he's still that way.
Right.
What's even more significant, God forbid a child dies. That soul, let's say a 6-year-old, that soul is 6 years old.
Forever?
Until it comes back. A 6-year-old needs its mother. If you stop being its mother, it hurts. So it's not that you become a generic something, you remain yourself. And part of that is you remain enamored with your body. A soul can divide into many parts. The body in which I succeeded, let's say, in kindness, the kindness of my soul will enter into that body. In the other body, I succeeded in being more disciplined and more focused. Well, then that part of my soul will go into that body. In fact, the part of the soul that succeeded is not reincarnated. It doesn't get born again. Only the part that is not finished. So if a person was really good and really productive and so on, the biggest part of his soul will stay in heaven, and the little piece that is not yet finished will come back and have another life.
Gotcha.
Another crack at it. There are 4 worlds, and there are souls in each of the 4 worlds, They're very different from each other, more and more godly, spiritual, and they each have their type of body. Obviously not a physical body. If it's not a physical body, it can't serve God.
Oh, wow.
So the souls that are in heaven now are waiting impatiently to come back.
Wow.
Because as far as we're concerned, heaven is a very nice place, but it's like a retirement home. And we hate to be retired. Maybe for a month, a year, not forever.
Right.
So all the souls in heaven want to come back and serve God, not be served. In heaven, you are served. You want to get into some real Kabbalah? Literal?
Yes, please.
When God creates the world, he creates it in a logical sequence, like a ladder, rung by rung, until the creation becomes solidified into a physical, finite, grubby, mundane object. That's so that we can follow the steps back. If he created it just with one fell swoop, there's no way to go back. So he creates it like a ladder so that we can climb the ladder. Each of these steps on the ladder is called a sphera, a divine attribute. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. They're all focused downward. The Chachma faces the Bina faces the Das faces the Chesed. Everything is in a downward, linear. When it comes to Malchus, the final of the 10 attributes, it turns around and faces up. So that it receives everything that came before it, absorbs it all, then turns back and creates the next world.
Wow.
That's the attribute of royalty. Royalty is literally in the human, the country empowers an individual. The individual absorbs all of that and then turns around and runs the country. It's an interesting process.
Wow. Very interesting.
That's how democracy works. So democracy is much more godly because it mimics the way God created the world. So the beauty of it is that when God created Adam, not the first man, the first human, because this Adam was male and female. Literally half male, half, like two sides of a coin. One side was male, the other side was female. Siamese twins. Then we're told God separated them, turned them into two separate people, and immediately told them to get married and become one. They must have wondered, we were one. You separate us and then tell us to become one? And also, you can become one in a marriage, but that's kind of poetic. You're not literally one, because you can walk away and...
Right.
So the oneness was much greater before he separated us. And now, we can achieve a oneness, but it won't be the oneness that we had. So it looks like we're losing ground. We're getting worse, not better. So here is the romantic side of God and the romantic side of Kabbalah, which is Hasidut. The difference between the oneness that existed in creation and the oneness that we achieve through marriage. Adam and Eve were one body, inseparable, but they'll never see each other because they're back to back. So they are in fact inseparable, but not face to face.
Right.
After separating us, we will again become one through a good marriage, not as inseparable as before, but face to face. And that is much better, worth the operation and the recovery,
Right.
so that we can be one face to face.
Wow.
In other words, God creates, and things keep moving down. Eventually you get to Malchus, and Malchus says, wait a minute, where am I coming from? And turns around face to face. So intimacy begins in the last attributes, the lowest attributes of each world. So Yesod, which is called foundation, the fundamental relationship is male and female. It's the only attribute that comes in male and female. But it's back to back. They're inseparable,
Right.
but it's back to back.
Wow.
The next one, Malchus, turns around to face its creator. If you enjoyed this conversation or this topic, and you're looking for more information, or you want to hear it again from another angle, there's a way to do that. And that is in this book. It's all there. Order it from Amazon. You can read it, reread it, and share it. We have a Sunday night program for VIPs that you might be interested in. It's informal. It's questions and answers. It's conversation. It's really relaxed. It's really pleasant, enjoyable, informative, and kind of community-like. It's a Sunday night program. There's a Wednesday morning program for the VIPs, and there's a Wednesday night program. All of it just conversation, casual, laid back, unscripted. So join us. Take a look. Click the link below and see which of the three suits you best, and join us for some enjoyable conversation.